Hi everyone, welcome to Climb Your Everest Leadership Skills series. Thank you for being here. This is, I think, session number 15. All the previous sessions have been recorded and emailed to all of you. So if you want to watch the previous sessions, if it is your first time joining, please in the chat box put your email so I can send you all the previous sessions and you can watch and you can continue joining us and share the videos with all the other teachers in your school. So please, I want to welcome my friend Jordan. Thank you, Jordan, for being here today. She's going to be talking about SDAIE strategies. I'll let Jordan to introduce herself and tell us more about SDAIE strategies.
Thank you, Sarah. So as Sarah said, my name is Jordan, and I have a master's in education. I spent at least 5 years of my career working with English learners, and I'm here to present on SDAIE strategies, which are just the common strategies that teachers will incorporate into their lessons to help students who are still learning English still have the same amount of access or an equitable amount of access to the content that the teachers are teaching. And so before we jump into that, I would like to just start my time with you by asking you guys what some good things are that are going on in your life. It doesn't have to be anything like worthy of a celebration, right? I'm not necessarily talking about the big news, but I like to start out each class just by connecting with my students and by asking them what are some good things going on in their life. And since I'm new to this class, I'll go ahead and start out. Today, I'm actually going to a party for my husband's job. And so I am excited to be going to that party. And so my question for you guys would be, what good things are going on in your life?
I can go second and then Prakriti will go after me. So a good thing that is happening in my life is my family is visiting me from Arizona, which is another state 8 hours from here. And so I don't see them very often. So I'm very happy to see my family this weekend.
Aw, that's awesome. And how often does your family visit you, Sarah?
Once a year they come to California. So this is it. Yeah.
That is it.
Yeah.
That is it.
Yeah.
And you said someone was ready to go after you.
Yeah, Prakriti, do you want to go after me? What are some of the good things that is happening in your life?
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. Just I already mentioned you before, and just these days, like I'm engaging in project activities, and I hope just I have learned lots of things from Climb Your Everest organization. So in real platform, I'm improving my speech, how to talk in front of big mass like that. So 2 weeks ago, I just organized awareness program in one of the school in Kathmandu with my team, and it was great things happening in my life. And thank you.
That's awesome. And I'm just curious, what's one of the most helpful things you've learned from Climbing Everest organizations?
Most importantly, just before I'm not joining, I was not in Climb Your Everest at that time. I have less confidence, but now I am building my confidence level, and with communication and skills and non-verbal communication as well. Along with that, I have learned a leadership skill in real life. Thank you.
Awesome. That's awesome. That's priceless. I have time for one more person to share a good thing going on in their life. Would anyone else like to share?
Jasmine, do you like to share what some of the good things in your life?
Yeah,
Jasmine,
ma'am, thank you so much. You such a good question you asked me, but I was just confused. What should I say to good things is going to happen in my life? But no, surely I can say that as a good thing. Like in my life is like nowadays. First of all, I'm very blessed to this classes I'm having, and I really am met with you. So much things I learned from you, the how the leadership and how to be confident. So I'm really blessed to have these classes. These reason I am able to just teach to others, right? So I'm very thankful for this reason. And second thing is last that actually I never go. I'm working as a teacher, but I've never been through as a tutor. I never take a tuitions, like, but I don't know. Suddenly, there's some people starts coming into and they're interacting me to just teach to my children, right? They are forcing me to teach them, right? So I'm thinking, what happened nowadays to me? Many calls comes in means yes, day before yesterday I got call, and yesterday I also got, and before means 2-3 days also I got. And continuously I'm getting the phone calls, and but the parents force me to teach them. So maybe this is a good thing, right? So I'm getting the opportunity to them, and I don't have a seriously, I don't have an confidence, but by this teaching I learned, no, first of all we have to means don't give up and just strive once, then automatically things will become in a smooth manner. So this is the good thing is going in my life, that's all. Thank you.
thank you, Jasmine. And you mentioned that confidence, right, is a huge thing you've been learning. Can you identify like one way you've been more confident or you've seen yourself be more confident since using what you've learned?
Please ask me once more.
Can you identify one way or one situation when you've been able to be more confident or use what you've learned about confidence?
Yeah, I can share because means by the face, and sometimes we're looking confident, but inside we don't feel like the same things, right? So I got a one incident like means the meeting in my office is some meeting was there, and suddenly the means 50 and 15 more than the people were sitting there, and suddenly my just team leaders asked me to just stand up and tell me what we have taught before, and what is the means, what is the aim of this meeting, and what you. So that was, I was so scared, how can I speak in front of the 50 people? But that time I answer, no Jasmine, I have to do, I can do that. Then I speaks in the front of them, then I realized, no, now a little bit I am getting the confidence. So this is the that I can say that means this is the means I can show them I'm a confident girl, like that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It sounds like you guys are taking what you're learning here and
Jordan, ma'am, may I share
yes.
one thing?
Yes,
And
yes.
I remember right just now, like we're learning about authentic, like speaking with authentic person. So yesterday I applied this technique with my three in charge, in front of three in charge. I am martial art teacher, and I have just filled demand form for my students sports equipments. At that time they were asking me like what kinds of equipment and for what purposes, right? And I just in confident way, I don't know how I was like I was delivering them, but I was quite confident, like comparing to before. So talking with as an authentic person is also very important in our professional life. So I applied yesterday. Thank you. This was also
That's,
good thing.
that's
Yeah.
awesome.
One more thing I want to say, ma'am, Sarah ma'am,
Yes, please.
and George ma'am to you. You know, actually, by you, ma'am, Sarah ma'am, only first time I just learned the what is the classes of empowerment, right? So now only because of you, I have been started for the taking classes. So I'm not a good one, but I'm trying. That is a good for it. This is enough for me, right? So I'm really thankful to you and ma'am also. Thank you, ma'am.
Good job. Good job.
I love that you guys are putting into practice what you're learning. That says a lot about who you guys are, right? Because there are lots of people who learn stuff and then they don't put it into practice. So kudos to you guys. And I am really excited to be sharing about SDAIE strategies today. I wanted you to know that you can definitely, I think you learn more when you take notes. So I wanted you to feel free to take out a piece of paper and participate through taking notes on what stands out to you. The materials that I will be providing should be available to you online as well. So don't worry about writing down everything, but the stuff that really stands out to you, I do want you to you feel free to write down. So that being said, SDAIE, right, is an acronym. An acronym is something that stands for something else. So you will see here SDAIE really stands for Specially Designed Academic Instruction in English. So when we talk about SDAIE strategies, we're talking about strategies that are specially designed to give all students, regardless of their English abilities, access to academic instruction or content in another area that is not English, if that makes sense. And our learning objective today is that you guys will be able to identify what a SDAIE strategy is and explain how to use at least one new SDAIE strategy. We're going to start out with one of my favorite SDAIE strategies, which is a KWL chart. A KWL chart is something that teachers use to identify what we already know, right? So we're going to be talking about what do we already know about SDAIE strategies, what we want to know. And then this particular strategy is interesting because we have to come back to it at the end of our lesson and then reflect on what we learned together today. So we will be coming back to this. But I would like to ask you guys, what do you already know about specially designed academic instructions in English? Do you guys already know anything about that?
I don't think they know anything about this strategy, but all those who are teachers, because we have teachers here and educators. Those who are teachers, their students, some of them, their English is good, some of them, their English is not good, or kind of in the middle place. So kind of they are all dealing with students in a huge range of English knowledge. And the documents that you sent me originally, I sent them to them a few weeks ago just to review, and no one knew anything about it. So kind of we can go to the basics and start from the basics.
Okay, so I'm just going to put in here, right now, we don't know a lot. Right? And usually if I was in my classroom, I would be writing this on the board, right? Because this is a chart that we're going to fill out together. And so my next question would be, what do you guys want to know? What do you hope to learn from today's presentation? Sarah said that she sent you this material a couple weeks ago, right? And so as you think about what that was and what maybe some struggles you have with having students who know a lot of English and a little English, what would be really helpful for you as you think about how do I make my content more accessible for my students? one easy thing that I might put here if I were a teacher would be, I want to know your favorite SDAIE strategy and why it's your favorite.
And Nepal is a very international country. And I think being able to provide different strategies so that the students can learn English better would really impact their future, the future of the teachers and the students. So I think the strategies would not just benefit, it would benefit everybody and their families and their communities. So it's going to make a huge difference for everyone if they know more strategies, more SDAIE strategies.
But also how the students can use them.
Yeah.
These strategies, right?
Yes.
That's a great question. Anything else you guys want to know? Or do you just want me to give you what I know? Part of the reason I'm asking these questions is because all of this SDAIE strategies, their goal is to get students to participate in our lessons with what they know. Right? And it may be that they don't know a lot about the topic. Like you guys don't know a lot about SDAIE strategies right now. But the more that you guys can participate in the lesson, the more that your students can participate in the lesson, the more learning connections you guys are going to be able to make, and the more the information is going to get stuck in your brains in a helpful way. Does that make sense? So even if you're not sure, right, this part it's not about having the right answer, right? It's really just, what can I participate with? What am I thinking about right now when it comes to SDAIE strategies? And so I know that one other thing that usually comes up is, what are the purposes of learning these strategies? Okay. So we'll go ahead and we'll come back to this part, what we learned at the end of the lesson. Okay. And just like you guys saw me doing, if students aren't in a place where they can participate yet in any part of any learning process, you can model what it might look like for them to participate in the process. Right. So when students aren't able to participate in any strategy, right, when they don't know how, or they're not ready to yet, usually as a teacher, that's when I step in and I model, this is what participation looks like. And then through my modeling, they are learning, oh, they are still learning, even if they're not participating. Okay. So that being said, we're going to go back to our slideshow. And during our next section, we are going to do, we're going to combine two of the SDAIE strategies. So we're going to do directed reading thinking activity. That's one SDAIE strategy with a jigsaw. Okay? And so this directed reading thinking activity is a 4-step process. And I'm including a jigsaw, which is another strategy, in the 3rd step of that process. Okay. And so step 1 is predict what you think we will read about in the document EL SDAIE strategies. the second step. And can I get someone to read the second step for me? It is reading what
Okay,
step
ma'am.
number 2. Thank you.
Discuss.
Discuss. Okay, you can.
It's Chata Bluj. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes. Discuss what your purpose for reading strategies is.
Thank you. And Prakiti, did you want to read step number 3?
Okay, ma'am. Read EL SDAIE strategies using jigsaw SDAIE strategy.
Awesome. And Maya, could you read step number 4?
Reflect where our prediction, right? Did we accomplish our purpose?
So you guys just read the 4 steps of a directed reading thinking activity. And so we are going to do step 1 together. Step 1 is, what do you think we will read about in a document that's titled SDAIE or SDAIE strategies? And if you want to put your answer to that question in the chat, I'm going to try to open the chat.
I think anyone can go to the chat and type their answer, but I'm not sure if we can see it.
Okay.
Yeah, but we can read it out loud.
Hold on. I'm having trouble bringing the chat up. I was going to bring it up on the screen.
I'm looking at the chat right now, but I don't think like it's on the screen right now. Can you guys see it? Oh, but we are sharing your screen. Sorry, never mind.
Yeah, so I don't know with screen sharing if it's going to allow me.
I'm just gonna read it out loud in case it's necessary. There's nothing in chat yet.
Okay. So what do you guys think we will read about if we read a paper that's titled SDAIE strategies? How many strategies do you guys think there might be? Just give me your best guess. How many strategies?
I think people are not very familiar with SDAIE. That's why they have no idea what's gonna be in it anyway.
Yeah, that's awesome. You don't need to be familiar with SDAIE, right? This is during this part of the process. I'm asking you to make guesses based on or about something you don't know, because what that's going to do is that's going to get your brain more engaged in learning it when I do talk to you about it or when we do read about it. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to know the right answer. I just want you to guess right now. So if you had to guess, how many SDAIE strategies or how many strategies do you think we have for helping make content more accessible to students?
I guess 4 on the prediction.
4? Thank you, Katie.
Yes.
That was
Thank
super
you.
brave to go first. 4. I like that answer. Does anyone else have a different prediction?
I guess 5.
5. Awesome. Thank you. Can you help me pronounce your name? Is it Chaturbhuj? Is that the correct way to pronounce it?
Chaturbhuj.
Chaturbhuj. Okay, thank you, Chaturbhuj. Okay, so we've got 4, we've got 5. Does anyone want to go for 6 or maybe 3?
We have a 3. Saraswati says 3.
Sarah says 3. Awesome, awesome. And how about I also want us to think about, are there any strategies we've seen teachers use that have helped us when our English hasn't been the greatest? I'm thinking about strategies maybe like, I know when I was learning a second language, one of my teachers had us watch movies with subtitles in that language. So are there any strategies like that that you guys have seen teachers use as you've learned English that you think might be on here?
My teacher, when I was learning English, he was kind of encouraging us, even though we didn't know how to speak English. He was encouraging us to speak it, even though we made a lot of mistakes and it was not very clear what we were saying. But he kept saying, okay, still say it in English. And I would say it in English and then use a Farsi word. And he's like, okay, that's okay. Keep saying it. And then even though I was so shy and I didn't want to talk, and I didn't want to make mistakes, but he kept saying, keep saying it. And I kept making a lot of mistakes.
Right? And so one of the ways we learn is through making mistakes, right? And is through not being right. And that's a huge thing about SDAIE strategies, is they create a safe place to not get it right? Like when we're making predictions right now, this is a question where you're not supposed to get it right? So it isn't about, when we're teaching English, it's the correct answer is not having the correct answer. It's participating in the discussion and using your English, like Sarah was talking about. So any other ways that our teachers have, or things we've seen our teachers do to help us learn English?
I want everyone to think about your English teacher. What did she or he did that made you learn English better? Or if you are the English teacher, what are you doing? Any examples? Don't be shy. Okay, Pratima in the chat box says, my teacher gave new words every day with meanings.
So your teacher gave you vocabulary words. We call those vocabulary words over here. I love that. Thank you for sharing, Pratima. That was very brave.
Maya unmuted herself. Maya, do you want to say something?
Yeah, thank you so much. And in our school days, our teacher has given us lots of the opportunity, like they were involving us in essay writing competition, debate competition, from where we can enhance our speaking skill. And even if there have any mistakes, grammatical mistakes also, we don't care. And they said us like, you don't need to care about what you really have, that your grammatical mistakes, but you have to learn more, because if you speak more, then you will learn more. And if you write something, some new words, then your writing skill will be gonna creative, and you will explore yourself, learn. And if you want to learn more things, then you should watch English movie and try to listen English song. And these days we have like like our generation have YouTube videos, cartoons, and from where we can learn so many things. Yeah, that things. And these days this is a technical this time, like there are so many children who already involved in social sites, and they like to watch lots of English movies, drama, and cartoons. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
That was a very thorough answer. Thank you, Maya. You mentioned a lot of strategies in there, and I really appreciate it. And we also got Seroj in our chat saying news articles, right? News articles were a very common way of teaching my students English when I was teaching English as a second language. So we've identified a lot of materials that you guys have been exposed to. And so I want to move on to our second question, which is, what is our purpose for reading EL SDAIE strategies? Right? And our purpose for reading that is to help you guys become more confident in using strategies that will help your students have better access to your content, and to make you more aware of strategies that your teachers may also be using to help you learn English. So those are two strategies we have, or two purposes we have for what we're doing today. That being said, we are going to use our third strategy. So far today, I've introduced you guys to two different strategies. We have done a KWL chart, and we have done the other one, which has a really long name. And I'm going to see if I can go back to show you guys that name one more time. And the second strategy we used was a directed reading thinking activity. Okay, so in this activity, we know that we're going to have to do some thinking. We've been doing that thinking through predicting and discussing, right? And so there's been lots of thinking that we've been doing already. And the next step in our directed reading thinking activity is reading. And so we're going to read about SDAIE strategies. Okay, so strategy number one, strategy number one that we used was the KWL chart. That's where we talked about what we already know and what we want to know. And we're going to come back and talk about what we learned at the end. Okay, that was strategy one. Strategy two that we looked at is directed reading thinking activity, right? And so we've done the first two steps in that strategy, and we're moving on to the third one, where we're going to look at our third strategy, which is a jigsaw. Okay, so for jigsaw reading, we are going to create 4 groups. To create 4 groups, let's see. Sarah, can you tell me how many students total do we have today? I'm counting as I scroll. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh, it's 13.
13?
Yes.
Okay. And do we have a way to do smaller groups through Zoom, or is that?
Yeah, there should be a way to do it. I'm trying to figure out how. Usually there's an option down here. Let me pause the recording. Maybe if I pause, then it allows me to do it. Give me a second.
Which is totally okay. So what I am doing right now is I am attaching the file we need to read in the chat box for all of you. And I'm just going to be like, this is 100% honesty right here. A lot of the teaching I got over these strategies was just people telling me to read this document. So every time I've been taught about SDAIE strategies, people have told me, like, read this document. So this document is what teachers all over the US are using to help them teach English better for the people who come over here and are learning English as their second language.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you open that document.
So the document, you can just double click it in the chat box. It's on the screen. You can read it on the screen, or it is in your email. So it's in the email, in your chat box, and right here in the screen.
And So when you open that document, you should see, this is the document we've been making predictions about, ELL, SDAIE, or SDAIE strategies. And you'll see here that the first strategy is a KWL chart. Right? And so that is a strategy that we have already looked at. You'll see that the next strategy is called an anticipatory guide. So that is another activity that you could do with your students to help them process information in English. And before I move on with this, I wanted to acknowledge Sunil. Sunil, thank you for contributing to our last conversation by telling us what your English teacher does with you to help you learn English. Brainstorming is another activity that teachers can do with their students to help get them talking and practice using their English. And so what will happen as you go through this document is you will see a lot, and I mean a lot, right? We're past 3 or 4 or 5, right? I love those predictions, but there's definitely a lot of activities here, right? Much more than 3 or 4 or 5. In fact, if you scroll through this whole document, it is 7 pages long. And so rather than read through all 7 of those pages, what we're going to do is we're just going to focus on one small section. And so coming back to our jigsaw, right? And this is a common strategy used when you have a lot of information or a document that maybe any document that's over a page long, you can use a jigsaw strategy for you with your students. And what we're going to do is, instead of doing this in groups, I'm going to give each of you a number. And if I give you the number 1, you need to read page 1 of this document. So you're going to read those strategies to yourself. If I give you the number 2, you're going to read pages 2 through 3. All right. So you're going to have a little bit more to read. If I give you a 3, you'll be reading through pages 4 and 5. And if I give you the number 4, you'll be responsible for reading pages 6 through 7. Okay, and I'm going to give you some time to read through the pages you've been assigned. It says here 10 minutes. I might shorten that to 7, but you're going to have some time to read through your pages. And as you read through, I want you to choose your favorite strategy. And this could just be the one that's easiest for you to understand. That's fair. So you're going to choose your favorite strategy, and then you're going to, and then when we're done reading and when we've all chosen our favorite strategy, you are going to talk about, you're going to share that strategy with the rest of the group. So I'm going to go ahead and number you guys now. And then, or I'm going to give you your number now, and then you're going to read the page in this SDAIE document based on your number. So Maya, you are going to be number 1. So you're reading page 1. Jasmine, you're going to be a number 2. So you're going to be reading through pages 2 and 3. Sarah, you're going to be a number 3. So you're going to be reading through pages 4 and 5. Prakriti, you're going to be number 4. So you're going to be reading through pages 6 and 7. Esther, you're going to be number 1. So you'll also be reading through page 1. Pratima, you are going to be a number 2. So you'll be reading through pages 2 through 3. Sunil, you will be a number 3. So you're going to be reading through pages 4 through 5. Purnima, you are going to be a number 4. So you'll be reading through pages 6 through 7. Ashosha, You are going to be a number 1, so you'll be reading through page 1. Rabina, you will be a number 2, so you'll be reading through pages 2 through 3. Saroj, you are going to be number 4, so you will be reading through pages 6 through 7. Saraswati, you're going to be a number 1, so you'll be reading through page 1. And Aniket, you'll be a number 2, so you'll be reading through pages 2 through 3. If I missed anyone, please let me know if I missed you in the chat. Otherwise, your time to read your assigned section and to choose one strategy to talk about with the rest of the group starts now. And I am gonna give you 7 minutes for that.
May I start now?
Yes, you may start reading. This is silent reading to yourself.
Okay.
So Maya, I think you are number 1. So you're reading page 1 of the document I sent of this SDAIE strategy. You're reading this first page. Does that make sense? And you're going to choose one of these strategies to talk about with the rest of the group. So the strategy that you like the best, you're gonna share with everyone in about 7 minutes. So as you're reading through this page, choose one strategy to really focus on.
Okay, I'm going to read about first one, anticipatory KWL chart. Before reading a selection, hearing a selection, or reviewing a video, student are asked to complete the first 2 sections of the chart. What I already know about and what I would like to find out about. After the information has been presented, students complete the
So
what I
Maya,
learned selection.
So Maya, yeah, you're going to read that silently to yourself. So your goal is, as you read silently, you're going to try and talk about that strategy in your own words when everyone else is done with their reading as well. Does that make sense? We're not reading together right now. Or we're not reading as a group right now. We are reading by ourselves.
Okay.
Diving into it. Maya, you were diving into an anticipatory guide. Is that still what you were reading about? And can you share with us kind of your favorite thing that you read about? So Maya, it's your turn to share now.
Thank you, ma'am. First thing, here have two special points of what I learned, what I already know about, and second one is what I like to find out about. And first thing, after showing the video in classroom, that the turn what I already know about that. And on these sections, we can give opportunity to the student, like what do they already know about the topic, and if they know a little bit knowledge about that, what they already have known previously regarding the topic, and that will be the one of the important point for them. And the next one is what I like to find out about mean their curiosity and what they really wanted to know about and the sections, and from where then teacher can understand that how they can present their ideas to their students, and then they will be more they will be curious about the topic and they can understand more from the teachers. And last one, what I learned part, that third last one, that's mean a more interesting part, because when teacher is always like a teacher is always responsible to present their ideas in their classroom, and students are the one who listen carefully what teachers teachers saying, and made that important for them or not. But what I learned part is very, very special. I found like if the student learn more from the teachers, and this more mean the new things like they ever never know previously, and that will be the one of the interesting and the successful class session, I think. That's it. Thank you, ma'am.
Awesome. So Maya shared with us about an anticipatory KWL chart. And Maya, I loved how you went a little bit deeper with why do we ask the students what I already know about, and why do we ask the students what I would like to find out about? You did a good job of explaining the purposes of each of those steps as you dived into this. Someone who was a number 2, would you like to share from pages 2 and 3 what strategy you chose to focus on? Someone who was a number 2. I like to say in my classroom, if I don't have any volunteers, I don't mind volunteering someone, which means I get to choose who shares. So Jasmine, I believe you were number 2, is that correct? Which was your favorite strategy from pages 2 through 3? Jasmine's like, no, I would not be voluntold. Can I unmute you, Jasmine, or do you have to do that yourself?
Hello.
Jasmine?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Actually, ma'am, yes, this is my second option is my turn, but I need some time. I'm not able to speak. So just I want to listen from others. So then I would be able to speak.
You want us to come back to pages 2 through 3?
Yes, I'm not able to speak, ma'am. Please.
Okay, all right. We'll give Jasmine a little bit more time, and we will ask Dr. Sarah how pages 4 through 5 went for her.
Okay.
Sarah, were you able to look at pages 4 through 5? And I am not hearing back from her. So, Prakiti, were you able to look at pages 6 through 7? Prakiti.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
You gave me number 4.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Just I read this page, and from here, just I'm interested like in open mind diagram.
Open mind diagram.
Yeah,
Awesome. Can you explain to me what you learned about an open mind diagram?
like at first we have to divide four number of 4 groups.
Uh-huh.
Yes, here is mentioned each person in a group of 4 uses a different color marker. We can use different color marker and just engage them in poster creation activities. And we
Awesome.
just we can just focus them in drawing different shapes of head, and inside that head or circle just we have to encourage our students to write some words or quotes from the stories, or anything symbol or picture. So from this word can be made into the picture of the part of the face, so they can write some words inside that picture, I think. So picture also help them to engage in effective reading as well, like I learned from this page. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for sharing, Prakiti. That's a strategy that I haven't gotten to use yet as a teacher. An open mind diagram, right? And so the idea behind this strategy is you are having your students work together in a group, right?
Yes.
And so each person in the group has their own color, right? So you would have to have lots of markers and a poster. And on the poster, if you can kind of follow as I move my marker in the poster, you would draw the shape of a head. Okay.
Yes.
And then each student is inside the head writing words, right? Or quotes from what they've written. And so by trying to turn their words into a picture of a face, right? They're playing with the words. And so that would be a really fun, strategy to use, I think, especially with younger students. So thank you, Prakiti. Thank you for highlighting that.
Thank you, ma'am.
And Jasmine, are we ready to come back to you, or was anyone else who was put in group number 2 willing to share a strategy they saw? All right, how about group number 3? Does anyone that I said you are a number 3, does anyone who was a number 3 want to share the strategy that stood out to them? All right, and that's okay. That's okay if your students are not willing to share, right? That kind of shows you where they are at comprehending the material that you've given them, right? And I'm not gonna lie, I'm giving you a lot of material today. 7 pages is not an easy thing to go over in just 1 hour, right? Teaching strategies often have a lot of layers to them, right? Teachers often combine a lot of different tools in their strategies. And understanding all the purposes of all the tools that a teacher uses, it takes time and practice as a teacher. So it's okay if this document feels challenging to understand. I'm going to encourage you guys to continue coming back to this document. Continue asking questions about these strategies. Try using just one wherever you're teaching. Just choose one. It may be the one that you were thinking about presenting today. It may be one that you saw me use today. But just choose one and start using it in your lessons and see how it helps your students think and respond to you. Oftentimes as a teacher, it can be overwhelming when we get lots of different strategies thrown at us. And so one way to not feel so overwhelmed is just to choose one thing to focus on. And so as you look through this document, right, which I'm leaving with you guys and leaving in your hands, I would encourage you, just choose one strategy at a time to focus on. And use that strategy until you feel really comfortable with it. And then move on to a new strategy. A lot of you guys talked about confidence, right? And gaining confidence. And I think a huge part of gaining confidence is giving ourselves the permission to go slow. And so just choosing one strategy to focus on, that's giving yourself permission to go slow. Okay, so choose one strategy, become confident in that strategy. And once you're feeling confident, then move on to another strategy. Does that make sense? Okay. That being said, we are going to minimize our document because you guys have that to come back to. That was what we just experienced, right? Was a version of the jigsaw strategy, right? Which the jigsaw strategy, when you use that, you will always create 4 groups. You'll always have each group responsible for a different part of the reading. Each group will have a certain time. You can set the time what you want it to be. It doesn't always have to be 10 minutes. Each group will have a time to read through, and then each group will have the opportunity to present their reading. And so that's essentially how the jigsaw strategy works. That being said, were our predictions about reading this document correct, right? This is our time to reflect. So one of the predictions we made was we predicted how many strategies we would find. Sarah predicted 3 strategies, right? I think Jesvin, you were the brave one who predicted 4, right? Did we just see 3 or 4 strategies here, or were there a lot more? How many strategies did we see in our document? Could we count them?
6 strategies.
Were there 6 strategies, or were there 7 pages of strategies?
Yeah, 7 pages strategies.
So each activity on those pages is a different strategy. Does that make sense, Prakiti? Each activity is a different strategy. So did we just have 3 or 4 strategies? Or do we have a lot more than that?
I think we have lots of
65 strategies.
Say that again, Chatterblush.
65 strategies.
65, you counted them? You're the math person in the room. Thank you. Thank you. And so did we accomplish our purpose in reading this document? What do you guys think? Did you guys learn something about SDAIE strategies today? Did you learn at least one you could use?
Saruj, in the chat box, he says around 50 strategies.
Around 50?
Yeah.
Awesome. And so from those 50, did we learn that like there's at least one we could try to use in our classroom? I see Prakiti nodding yes. I see Sarah nodding yes. Okay. And so the last question I'm going to leave you guys with as we wrap up is coming back to our KWL chart. What did we learn today? What is one thing that you guys learned today? All right, so I'm coming back to this chart. So can someone share with me one thing they learned today?
We learn different strategies like in while we are teaching, and one of the best strategy like I was familiar with open mind diagram. I came to know about this and very effective class. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Oh, glad you liked it. So open-minded diagram would be something that I could type, or that if I had a whiteboard, right, I would write down open-minded diagram right here. Right? Maya, was there something that you learned today?
Thank you, ma'am. Today, I think today is like today we have learned so many things, because this is very first time that we're like getting lots of information that Western like teaching methodologies like that. Like in Nepal, that we don't have this kind of strategies. So very few and very rare teacher gets these leadership sessions, and we really don't know that how we can present like what kind of knowledge that you have and how we have to present, and what kind of knowledge that our student expecting from us, that you know these things are have gap in Nepalese teaching systems, because slowly going to improve, maybe in future teachers will get lots of training and training sessions, and maybe they can improve themselves. But this is very first time of mine that I have learned so many things. This is very fruitful that if we really wanted to be a teachers or professors or lecturers, and if we already involved in workshop and training for our presentations, and that we have to learn these skills. Thank you very much for the program, ma'am. And the first time I have learned so few things from British Council. They have given like a climate change facilitators session, and they has taught us like something like if we really wanted to present something in front of our student, then we have to create we have to be creative. That means we have to make some columns, and we have to ask first, like we have to ask their what they're really expecting from us, and we have to give like some small chart papers to them, and they can write their things, and then we can put it into the wall kind of things, and by making pictures or drawings. And if we involve them on the classroom by giving some extra activities, and where they can discuss about the topic, only then the student can learn from the session kind of thing we have learned from the British Council training session. But I found something, this session is very fruitful and completely different from that one. And so I think in future we have to learn so many things from you too, and this PDF also very useful for me. Once again, after finish of this session, I would like to watch all the I would like to read all the pages that how we can improve our teaching methods. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Maya. That was a lot. And I love how you brought in stuff that you were learning in previous sessions, right? And that's one of the purposes of using SDAIE strategies, is it gives your students opportunities to bring in things that they've already learned about, and to make connections between the new material and what they already know. And so if I were to summarize what you learned right over here, I would say what you're learning about is you're learning about giving your students the opportunity to speak. And this taught you something about how to design your lessons in the future. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, ma'am, I
Navneet,
want to share one thing about
yes,
this.
please.
Like, I'm a sport instructor in one of the school in Kathmandu, and here is also improving some strategy in teaching style in sports as well. So I think this KWL chart is also similar to the assessment given to the students. And I think you are like, this is very effective. This way you are teaching us is very effective way. And if someone is going to ask you, you have proof in written, right? What you teach to a student, like, so I think this is very effective way. So I think it will be familiar and updated in Nepal very soon. Thank you, ma'am.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing, Bikini. So you're right. SDAIE strategies do provide with direct evidence of what your students learned because you're asking them to share, right? And so like this KWL chart, right? We assessed at the beginning, like, here's what we know, right? And here's what we want to know. And now we're talking about what we've learned. And so we can see clearly that we've learned something, right? We've learned a little bit more about how to engage our students. So you're right, there is an assessment component here in this strategy. But I believe we are out of time for today. So I wanted to thank you all for having me as your guest. I love your guys' eagerness to learn. I know I gave you a lot of information today. When my teachers do that to me, they talk about it like, we just like dumped a whole bucket of water on you, right? And that's actually a super important learning strategy, is if I dump more at you than you can comprehend now, then higher, you're going to go higher in the future. So I hope that these strategies continue to help you. I encourage you, just focus on one of them for now. And I hope the best for all of you. I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Sara now.
Thank you so much, Jordan. Thank you, everyone, for participating. I know, thank you for your time. And I know it was a lot of material, but I think it's very good for us. We can all start using one strategy at a time and share it with other teachers at our school, other educators, so everybody can benefit from it. So please feel free to share this with, and I'll send you the link to the video with other teachers. Sorry, I'm driving because I had to get on another meeting, and I still wanted to be with you. So you see two of me in the meeting right now, but thank you all. And thank you, Jordan, for your time. I really appreciate it. I know it's your Saturday morning and you decided to spend it with us and help us. So we really appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Thank you. So Jordan, when you try, since you're the co-host, when you try to close the meeting, can you end the meeting for all?